Remember that look in her eyes? That moment when your touch was everything she wanted? Then something changed. Now there's hesitation where desire used to be. But what if I told you this isn't the end of your story? It's just the beginning of a new chapter. One where understanding her changing body could lead to the most profound connection you've ever experienced. Two bodies that once fit together perfectly now feel like strangers in the dark. She tenses at your touch. You lie awake wondering what went wrong. Sound familiar? You're not alone. The secret nobody tells you about intimacy after menopause is this. The couples who thrive aren't younger, luckier, or taking miracle pills. They simply understand what others don't. I've guided thousands of couples through this transition over 20 years, and I've discovered something remarkable. The very changes that initially feel like barriers can become gateways to deeper connection than many couples have experienced since their honeymoon. Today I'm sharing 5 approaches that transform bedroom frustration into renewed intimacy, secrets most men never discover. The third technique alone has couples telling me, this changed everything for us. Yet 92% of women say they're too uncomfortable to ask their partners to try it. What if tonight could be different? What if understanding her body's changes isn't about managing disappointment, but discovering new pathways to pleasure? Stay with me, because that's exactly what I'm going to show you. Richard sat across from me, a successful businessman at 63, looking utterly defeated. Last year, everything was fine between us, he said quietly. Now she flinches when I touch her. She makes excuses. I started sleeping facing away just to avoid another rejection. The pain in his eyes revealed his real question. Does she even want me anymore? This moment, this physical disconnect, creates the perfect storm of misunderstanding. You feel rejected. She feels broken. The silence between you grows deeper than the physical distance. What's actually happening inside her body is a hormonal earthquake that transforms how touch feels on her skin. Estrogen doesn't just gradually decrease, it plummets by up to 90% during menopause. This massive shift doesn't just affect mood or cause hot flashes. It fundamentally rewires how her body experiences every sensation. Imagine suddenly finding that something that once felt pleasurable now feels like sandpaper against sensitive skin. That's the reality many women face. The mind desires connection while the body signals pain. It's a profound disconnection between intention and experience that leaves both partners confused and isolated. Margaret described it perfectly. I still wanted my husband. In my mind, nothing had changed, but my body betrayed me. I tense up, anticipating discomfort. Eventually, I started avoiding his touch altogether because I couldn't bear seeing his hurt when I couldn't respond the way I used to. Most couples fall into a predictable pattern after these changes begin. He initiates less, feeling unwanted. She feels momentary relief from physical discomfort, but worries about emotional distance. Both lie awake wondering if this is simply what happens when we age, if passion inevitably fades into polite companionship. What's truly devastating isn't the physical changes, it's the silence that grows between you, the things left unsaid, the assumptions made without understanding. The Harvard Relationship Study revealed something surprising. Couples who maintained satisfying intimacy through menopause didn't have fewer physical challenges. They simply navigated them differently. If any of this resonates with your experience, I want you to know 2 things. First, you're standing exactly where millions of men have stood before you. Second, and more importantly, this moment of disconnect can become the foundation for the most authentic connection you've ever known. Here's the paradigm shift that changes everything. Menopause isn't the end of intimacy, it's an invitation to discover a more conscious connection. The very changes that initially disrupt your physical relationship can become the catalyst for deeper understanding than you've experienced in decades. The fundamental misunderstanding, explains Dr. Elizabeth Chen, is viewing these changes as a breakdown rather than a transformation. Her body isn't failing, it's evolving in ways that require a different approach. James, married 36 years, described his revelation. For 3 decades, our intimacy followed the same pattern. When that stopped working, I felt lost. Then I realized something. We'd never really talked about what pleased each other. We just followed the script. Now we're actually discovering each other in ways we never did before. Let's start with the most immediate solution: lubrication. Many men hesitate to suggest this, worrying it implies inadequacy. But here's the truth. Suggesting lubrication isn't admitting defeat. It's acknowledging reality. It's no different than needing reading glasses as your eyes change with age. A key insight: how you introduce this solution matters as much as the solution itself. Thomas, married 42 years, transformed an awkward moment into an intimate one. I warm it between my hands and incorporate it as part of massage. Not as a clinical fix, but as part of our connection. This thoughtful approach turns a potential conversation stopper into an act of care. Beyond lubrication comes the revelation that changes everything. Understanding that her arousal pathway has fundamentally shifted. While younger women might transition from interest to arousal in minutes, after menopause, this journey often requires 30 to 45 minutes of progressive connection. This isn't a deficiency, it's an opportunity. Consider this perspective shift. What if this change isn't about taking longer, but about slowing down enough to truly experience each other? What if the very thing that seems frustrating is actually an invitation to the mindful presence that creates profound intimacy? Edward, initially frustrated by these changes, discovered their hidden gift. I used to feel rejected when my wife wasn't immediately responsive. Now I understand her body simply communicates differently. The slower pace hasn't just improved our physical connection, it's transformed our entire relationship. We're more patient, more attentive, more present in all aspects of life. What many couples discover is that the very changes that initially seemed like obstacles become doorways to connection that transcends the physical, creating experiences more deeply satisfying than what they experienced in youth. Let me share 5 specific approaches that consistently transform physical discomfort into renewed connection, approaches that address both physical comfort and emotional intimacy. First, comprehensive physiological support. Beyond basic lubrication lies a critical distinction many couples miss: the difference between lubricants and vaginal moisturizers. While lubricants provide temporary comfort during intimacy, moisturizers support tissue health over time. Using moisturizers 2 to 3 times weekly creates cumulative benefits that transform comfort levels. Looks are products containing hyaluronic acid, which helps tissues retain moisture, or vitamin E, which supports elasticity. The most successful couples incorporate application into their connection ritual, transforming what could feel clinical into an act of mutual care. The unexpected factor many couples discover: temperature management. Hormonal changes often elevate body temperature during menopause, making physical closeness uncomfortable regardless of arousal. James discovered this through simple experimentation. Lowering our bedroom temperature and using separate blankets transformed our intimacy. She could finally focus on sensation without feeling overheated. The second approach focuses on rewiring your understanding of arousal. Begin with what therapists call the 30-30 method: 30 minutes of non-genital touch, followed by 30 minutes of progressive intimacy. This isn't foreplay. It's creating the necessary physiological changes for comfort and pleasure. Develop what I call a sensation map, starting with areas less affected by hormonal changes: shoulders, back, outer thighs, before progressing to more sensitive zones. This gradual progression allows her body time to fully engage. Many women report this approach creates more profound arousal than they experienced even before menopause. Try synchronized breathing, a simple technique with remarkable results. Consciously matching your breathing patterns creates a biological synchrony that enhances connection beyond the physical. William, initially skeptical, became a believer. It sounded too simple to matter, but something happens when you breathe together that creates this profound connection. It completely transformed our experience. The third approach, perhaps most transformative, involves communication recalibration. Replace closed questions with open invitations. Instead of, "Does this feel good?" which forces either criticism or enduring discomfort, try, "How does this feel for you?" This subtle shift creates space for guidance that helps both partners navigate changing sensitivities. Create explicit permission for feedback with simple phrases that transform her willingness to communicate. I want to know what feels best for you. Or, your pleasure matters to me more than following any pattern. When she knows she can redirect without hurting your feelings, trust deepens significantly. Martin discovered this through an unexpected conversation. My wife finally admitted she'd been giving me signals for months that certain touches were uncomfortable, but she worried about disappointing me. Creating space for her honest feedback changed everything. Suddenly, we were partners in discovery rather than two people trying not to let each other down. The fourth approach focuses on practical positioning innovations. Joint comfort becomes increasingly important with age. Strategic support with pillows doesn't just reduce physical discomfort. It allows full presence in the moment, rather than distraction from discomfort. Consider side-by-side positioning, which reduces joint pressure while allowing sustained, comfortable connection. As Joseph discovered, we'd been attempting positions that worked decades ago, but were creating unnecessary discomfort now. Simple adjustments made all the difference in her comfort and responsiveness. The timing revelation: hormone fluctuations follow daily patterns even after menopause. Many couples discover morning intimacy creates significantly better experiences than evening connection when fatigue compounds sensitivity issues. This simple shift in timing often creates immediate improvements that surprise couples who've struggled for years. The fifth approach involves the mental shift that unlocks everything else, expanding your definition of intimacy beyond conventional expectations. Most couples discover that focusing exclusively on intercourse limits their options for pleasure and connection during this transition. Adopt what therapists call a pleasure-centered approach, where mutual enjoyment, rather than specific acts, becomes the primary goal. This mindset opens possibilities that honor changing bodies while deepening connection. Robert described how this perspective transformed his 42-year marriage. We'd gotten stuck in routines that weren't working anymore. When we started prioritizing connection over performance, everything changed. We're more playful, more experimental, and honestly, more satisfied than we've ever been. The success stories from couples who've implemented these approaches reveal a surprising pattern. The challenges that initially seemed like the end of physical intimacy often become the beginning of the most authentic connection they've ever known. Michael, 65, shared, "After struggling for years, we now have a deeper physical and emotional connection than at any point in our 38 years together. We just needed to understand what was happening and adapt together." These transformations extend beyond the bedroom to affect the entire relationship. Couples report increased emotional intimacy, better communication about all aspects of life, and renewed appreciation for their partnership. By navigating this transition together, they strengthen the foundation of understanding that supports every aspect of their relationship. Today you've discovered how menopause affects intimacy and 5 specific approaches that transform potential challenges into pathways for deeper connection. These changes invite a more conscious approach to intimacy that many couples find creates the most profound bond of their lives. Tonight, I invite you to begin with a single step: extended non-genital touch with no expectations, focusing entirely on connection. In the coming days, consider exploring quality lubricants and moisturizers designed specifically for menopausal women. And when the moment feels right, try this revolutionary question: what would make our intimate time more comfortable for you? Approaching her response with genuine curiosity. I'd love to hear which of these approaches resonates most strongly with you. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your insight might help another man facing these same challenges in silence. This conversation needs to happen more openly. Consider sharing this video with a friend who might benefit from this information. Subscribe for our next video on recognizing her nonverbal signals of interest, even when they've changed with age. The truth about intimacy after menopause isn't about managing loss. It's about discovering connection more authentic than what most couples experience at any age. The effort you invest in understanding these changes demonstrates profound respect and love for the woman who has shared her life with you. And that foundation creates the possibility for extraordinary connection that grows deeper with every passing year. William, married 52 years, expressed it perfectly. Learning to love my wife through menopause taught me what love actually means. Not just desiring someone, but truly seeing them, adapting with them, and creating joy together through all of life's changes. I only wish I had understood this decades ago. Tonight could be the beginning of your most connected chapter yet, one defined not by limitations, but by deeper understanding than you've ever known. The journey starts with a single conversation and the willingness to approach intimacy with new eyes. Your relationship deserves nothing less.